Have you ever noticed that people talk about the soul like it's something everyone understands, but the moment you ask someone to explain it clearly, most people suddenly go quiet? Hi, I'm Monica, and today I want to talk about something humanity has been trying to understand for thousands of years. What is a soul? Not the version from pretty quotes online, not the recycled spiritual phrases people repeat without thinking, and not the typical, your soul chose this life explanation. I mean something deeper. What are we actually talking about when we say the word soul? Because if you really think about it, it's strange. Almost everyone uses this word. Religions talk about the soul. Philosophers talk about the soul. Spiritual teachers talk about the soul. Even ordinary people use this word constantly without even realizing it. She has a beautiful soul. My soul feels tired. That touched my soul. We're soulmates. But what are people actually feeling when they say those things? And here's what's interesting: humanity speaks about the soul with incredible confidence, even though nobody has ever truly seen one. You can't touch it, you can't measure it, you can't photograph it, you can't prove exactly where it exists. And yet, millions of people feel that there is something inside them deeper than the physical body. Why? Maybe because every human being experiences moments in life that logic alone cannot fully explain. Intuition, a strange feeling, an unexplainable connection, a quiet inner knowing. Sometimes you meet someone for the first time, but somehow they feel familiar. Sometimes life looks perfect from the outside, but something inside quietly whispers, this doesn't feel like me. Sometimes your body is present somewhere while internally you feel completely absent. And people describe this feeling in different ways: emptiness, disconnection, burnout. But deep down, many people describe it differently. They say, I feel like I've lost part of myself. And maybe that's exactly why this topic has survived for thousands of years. Because deep inside, people feel that there is something within them that cannot be explained only through biology. But this is where things become truly interesting. Everyone talks about the soul, yet nobody can fully agree on what it actually is. Some believe the soul is immortal, others believe it's consciousness. Some think it's energy. Some believe in reincarnation, others believe we only live once. And almost nobody asks the most important question: where did all these ideas even come from? Think about it. Most people didn't arrive at these beliefs on their own. They inherited them from religion, from books, from culture, from stories told by other people, from ancient texts, from videos, from spiritual teachers who once heard these ideas from someone else too. And after thousands of years of retelling, how can we be completely sure that we're hearing truth and not simply a very old interpretation of truth? Because every time humans retell something, they unintentionally add part of themselves into it: their fears, their hopes, their experiences, their desires. And suddenly, humanity becomes part of one giant spiritual game of telephone that has lasted for centuries. One civilization says the soul is eternal, another says it must be purified, another says it reincarnates, another says it is judged after death. And somewhere between all these different versions, modern people are still trying to figure out what is actually real. But maybe this topic never disappears, not because people have proof. Maybe it survives because people feel something, because there are experiences in life that human beings feel more deeply than they can logically explain. When someone is in deep pain, they don't usually say, my nervous system is experiencing chemical distress. They say, my soul hurts. When someone breaks your heart, it feels deeper than emotion. When a person loses someone they love, the pain can feel almost physical. And when certain people enter your life, something inside recognizes them before the mind fully understands why. And maybe that's why people continue searching. not because they have undeniable evidence, but because they feel that there is a depth inside human beings that words alone cannot fully describe. But honestly, I think something important is missing in modern spirituality. People speak about the soul with too much certainty, as if they personally understand the architecture of the universe, as if mystery no longer exists. But maybe real wisdom sounds quieter than that. Maybe wisdom is the ability to honestly say, I don't fully know, because the truth is, none of us truly knows what happens after death. None of us completely understands consciousness. None of us can fully explain why a person can have everything externally yet still feel completely empty inside. And maybe that uncertainty is exactly what makes the topic of the soul feel so real, because uncertainty creates searching, and searching forces people to look deeper. But there's another idea almost nobody talks about. What if the soul isn't hidden from us? What if modern life is simply too loud for us to hear it? Look at how noisy the world has become. Phones, social media, constant information, other people's opinions, comparison, endless pressure, constant distraction. People barely spend time alone with themselves anymore. And maybe that's why so many feel empty internally, not because they don't have a soul, but because they haven't truly listened to themselves in a very long time. Because maybe the soul is not some glowing object inside the body. Maybe the soul is the deepest part of a person, the part that knows when someone is living the wrong life, the part that feels heavy around the wrong people, the part that suddenly feels alive around the right people, even when logic can't explain it, the part that recognizes truth before the mind can put it into words. And maybe that's why some people look successful externally, but internally feel empty, because their outer life and inner life stopped matching. And maybe the soul speaks through that discomfort, not to punish people, but to guide them back toward themselves. And maybe that quiet inner voice people ignore for years is actually one of the closest forms of spiritual guidance they will ever experience, because the soul rarely screams. Most of the time, it whispers quietly. This no longer feels right. You're unhappy here. You're betraying yourself. You're living against what you truly feel. And maybe the scariest part is that many people already know what their soul has been trying to tell them. They're just afraid to hear it, afraid of change, afraid of losing familiarity, afraid of becoming someone different. So they continue living disconnected from themselves for years, until one day they wake up feeling emotionally empty, without understanding where the real version of themselves disappeared. But maybe emptiness is not the absence of a soul. Maybe it's the exhaustion that comes from ignoring yourself for too long. And maybe the soul was never something human beings were meant to prove. Maybe it was always something people were meant to feel, through love, through pain, through silence, through beauty, through intuition, through those strange moments when life suddenly feels deeper than words. So maybe the real question is not, does the soul exist? Maybe the real question is, what inside a person remains real when everything external disappears? And maybe the answer to that question is the closest humanity will ever come to understanding the soul. And if videos like this resonate with you, if they help you feel even a little calmer, a little less anxious, or a little more connected to yourself, subscribe to the channel. We're going to talk about many more deep and meaningful topics together. My goal here is simple: to help people understand themselves better, to reduce anxiety instead of feeding it, and to bring a little more peace into a very noisy world. And maybe sometimes that's exactly what people need most.